Ever since influencer marketing has just skyrocketed over the past 5 years or so, there's been one shoe company that has really leaned on to that type of marketing. And one of the reasons why we all know this brand, that brand is called Thursday Boots and/or Thursday Sneakers. I posted this video about a year ago and I want to do a follow-up video. How have they been holding up and are they still worth it? Stick around, let's find out. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Lance Culp. I like to bridge the gap between the product and you, the consumer. I like to take away all of the headaches so you don't have to. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and like, subscribe to this channel, and let's move on to the video. Now, if you've been following me for a while, I appreciate that, but you guys will notice that the scenery is a little bit different. We have moved into a new house and we're painting this room, so I apologize for the very blank walls and/or aesthetics of the video. At least I have the greatest college in the world right behind me. I'm sure some of you guys will probably unsubscribe just due to that comment, but that's okay. Moving on. I wanted to break this video down into a couple different things. I want to talk about the basics of the shoe, just kind of like an overview, and then I want to break it down into the wear and tear of the shoe over the past year, the pros, the cons, what would I change, and what I still recommend. So moving on into the basics of the shoe, I'm not gonna bore you with a lot of the details that I covered in my very first video, but let's go ahead and start with the upper of the shoe. Obviously, this is 100% full grain leather. This is also Vachetta leather, if I'm not mistaken. Thursday outsources all of their leather from tanneries out of Italy, and I believe maybe a little bit in Portugal. I can't quite remember. Right when you open up a box from Thursday Boots and/or Sneakers, you get hit with that leather scent, that one that just never goes away and one that everybody absolutely loves. Today, I still get that. Now, mind you, I have worn these shoes barefooted, with socks, vice versa, for long periods of time, and they still have that natural leather scent, which I think is amazing. Let's go ahead and move into the insert of the shoe here. The insert is a little bit dirtier, obviously, because I've worn these barefooted. You still have this really nice leather that's on there. Nothing has come apart whatsoever. Obviously, the lettering has come off. The foam has decreased in, I guess you could say, squishiness, but that's to be expected. And the interior lining is still holding up really, really well. I'll show you guys a couple close-up shots here. There has been absolutely no tear in the leather. There is nothing to complain about. The lettering on the tongue is actually still there, which is very surprising, considering that the insert letters have started to fall off. The eyelets of the shoe have a nice ring to it. No pun intended. This way, it keeps the waxed cotton laces nice and smooth without tearing. At least that's what it's intended to do. And the other thing too, why they put that in there, not only for aesthetics, but if you don't have something like that, sometimes when you go to tie your shoes, you can tear the shoestring right through the leather and then you're kind of SOL on that. Now going to the laces, there has been some fraying going on, and I think that's probably just due to one of the eyelets being sharper, not as sanded down as smooth as some of the others, and it's only on one pair of shoe. The other pair of shoe, actually there has been no fraying whatsoever. So I think it might have been just a mishap or a one-off type of thing for me. Kind of seems to be the deal on my case. And now going towards the soles here, they've been holding up really, really well. Vibram, the famous rubber factories that are around the world, I believe that's where they get their rubber to line their shoes with, and they've been holding up really, really nicely. I like how they went with a very minimalistic approach. I don't slip, anything like that. They've got a nice little detail here. I could actually probably live without this, but we'll get into those types of things here in a little bit. So let's go ahead and move on into the pros and cons, starting with the pros. Obviously, without a doubt, this is a high quality shoe. I think one of the biggest pros is gonna be the quality of the shoe at the price point at which it's offered at. I don't think there's really any other shoe on the market today that really competes with that. Another pro is gonna be the stitching. And just like a lot of Thursday products, you're gonna be able to resole a lot of their footwear. There's not been one piece of stitch that has come loose on this shoe, and that's highly impressive. The other thing we're gonna shout out is actually the shoelaces. These don't look bad at all. They're actually really nice still. Now there's definitely some wear and tear on the leather, like tiny subtle little scratches here and there, but again, that's to be expected as well. So overall, these shoes have held up really, really nicely, and I'm quite impressed. Now some of the cons obviously is going to be, in the very first video, I saw some issues with the sole not being attached to the leather completely. Not talking about the stitching, but just the glue property. But I am here to say that it has not been an issue. I know it was a massive concern of mine when I first got it, but everything looks fine and none of it looks off. I think the biggest concern for me, or the biggest con for me, is that pink heated activated ink that I talked about in the very first video. It's still here, I still have it on my shoes, but is it noticeable? No. only to me, because obviously I'm the one looking at it every single time I wear it. There are some parts that still look worn, but because I've had these for about a year and I've worn them, it kind of matches with the rest of the shoes, so it's not that big of a deal as if they were brand new. And I think the last con is going to be the width of this shoe. I gotta be honest, when I first got them, and probably for like the first couple of times wearing them, even moving on to maybe a month or two of wearing them, I felt like my toes were squished, and even to this day, at times, I still feel like that. Yes, leather does stretch, and I obviously have a shoe tree in here, but I feel like for me in particular, I should have ordered a wider option shoe as opposed to just their basic. Now I know they've made some changes with the last that they insert where they stretch the leather around, and that's how you get your sizing. But just be aware, if you have a wider foot, just make sure that you order a wider option. Now, some of the things that I would change on the shoe in particular is probably this part in the very front. If they would just keep it nice and clean throughout the whole entire sole, I think that'll be a much better aesthetic look. I think on the back, the Thursday logoing, maybe making that smaller, or maybe just keeping the Thursday on the bottom and just getting rid of this in particular. I think that might be the best thing. Other than that, guys, I think this is a great all-white minimalist sneaker. Again, I'm very impressed with how well it's held up. I just wish that I had ordered a wider size. And moving on to what I recommend this shoe, 100%, 10 out of 10, absolutely, to anybody who's looking for a shoe in that price range, and or even something that's even more expensive but you want to save money. If you want something that's a really high quality at a much more affordable cost, Thursday sneakers is going to be your best bet. So guys, that's it for me. I really appreciate you guys tuning in and watching this follow-up video. If this video helped you, please drop a like, subscribe, and a comment in the section down below. Let me know your experiences with the Thursday sneaker. In the meantime, God bless.